Greetings everybody, welcome back to the channel, and it's been a couple of weeks since you last saw me, and it's been even longer than that since we were actually last in Cities Skylines. But today, we are back in basically a vengeance in here because I have lots of new ideas and plans and stuff that I want to do with my build here. What we are doing is working on our own kind of Hawaiian type of island, basically kind of build. That's the general theory behind it. We've done a couple of episodes. In the first episode, we kind of introduced you to the map, and the next episode after that, I showed you my geothermal power plant, which came out really well. Very detailed on that, and extremely realistic too, besides that dump truck that is speeding around. What is up with that? What? It's not a go-kart track, a little dumpster truck. But anyway, and then the last episode, we worked on homes and things like that for our Sims, CIMS basically is what they're called. And yeah, so a couple things have happened. I had to completely rebuild most of this because for some odd reason, like a third of the houses got Thanos snapped away. I don't know what happened, but I loaded up the game to start building, and one of the first things I noticed was that a third of the houses were gone. I'm guessing the houses that I used originally were removed from the Steam Workshop or something. I don't really know what happened. I thought if they were removed from the Steam Workshop, if you still had them downloaded, you can still use them, but apparently not. So yeah, since they were removed, I had to basically place all new kind of homes and stuff in some of the places where it was no longer there, which actually worked out to the better because I was able to add a little bit more color to the area, because a lot of the houses that I had placed were they're really nice houses, and they really fit the feel of what I was kind of going for, with like a Mediterranean, I don't know, Spanish, Hawaiian kind of tropical island kind of feel to it. They do really fit that, but they're very, I don't know, whited out is that the word I'm looking for? I don't really know. They got no color, and they're just very dull. So I ended up replacing a few of those, moving some things around, and putting back in place some new houses to replace the ones that were missing. Like I said, got Thanos snapped away, and I think it looks much better now. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and start on what we're going to be doing today, which is a new port. So since this is an island, they have to have a way to get all their stuff, their gas, their goods, their products and stuff. Plus, anything they make on the island needs to be shipped out to other countries and other places and cities and stuff as well. We got to get some industry going, and they need a place to work. So I thought, let's work on a port. I thought a port would be probably one of the best first things to actually build after we got done with residential. It supplies the industry with jobs, it supplies with goods and stuff, and brings everything in, and that was kind of what I wanted to do. So the first thing I had to do was figure out where we were actually going to put this. Now, I have a lot of places, but I narrowed it down to one of two locations. The first one being this one right over here, which I thought would have actually made quite a good port. It's already kind of shaped like a port as it is, and yeah, I could have totally turned this into a port, and it works really good. But I decided against it. The other location was on the other side of the map over there, which we'll show you in just a minute. But one of the main reasons why I decided not to use this was I was going to have to build another bridge connecting here to here, and then it would have to come all the way around here, and the industry would be basically coming around through this way and then having to go through here. And yeah, this area is going to be mostly the city itself right around these coasts, but I didn't want to have the industry coming all the way over here. Plus, it was further away from the housing than what I really wanted. So, and I wanted to kind of build something a little more close to the housing. So my second location is right over here, which not the most perfect location, I will say that, but it does kind of have somewhat of a port feel to it. It is still probably just as far away from where our city and stuff is going to be. I felt like it was this was closer than going all the way over here and then around. Because I'm not going to build a bridge across through here, I don't think. I mean, I might, but I don't think I'm going to. And I just felt like having goods come all the way around through here and then around through here to get to where it needs to go. It was just not a great idea. So I instead decided that this was going to be probably the best place for it. Plus, it's going to be right near the airport, which we're going to be putting right in this area right here. So everything is kind of in one place, so to speak. All right, and now that I've kind of talked a little bit about what we're doing and I've showed off a little more of the island and stuff, let's jump into the actual build, and I can go from there and talk a little more in detail about what we're doing. Shall we? Let's go. All right, so now that we finally decided where we're going to build the port, the next part is, of course, shaping it and clearing out the area of what we're going to need. So, of course, as you can see there, I took out all of the trees, rocks, everything in this area, and I kind of already knew exactly what level I wanted to land on. So that's why you saw me just kind of go ahead and automatically put in my terrain height as 52. I already knew exactly where I wanted it to be. I've tested out a few different designs before I actually started building this to see kind of what it would look like different shapes and stuff for the different, like how the ports and stuff would actually look over here, just to see if it was possible. And I finally, after trial and error, I finally figured out what I wanted to do, and therefore I already knew exactly the height and stuff that I wanted. So as you can see there, I am now shaping the land. I basically brought it out to about where I needed it, and then I'm going to use these roads to, of course, do the edges and stuff. And I'm always learning every single time I play this game, and I'm starting to do research and stuff about how I'm going to do this or that, or to build something realistic. I'm always learning new tricks and stuff for the game, things I never knew I could do before. I never knew that there was an align heights button on the find it or the move it thing. So this was something, I don't even know when they added this, but yeah, there's a whole thing there that you choose everything you want, like multi-select everything, and then tell it that you want to adjust it to the height, and then you pick what you want to adjust the height to. And it makes leveling out these things, that plus road anarchy and a couple other things, make leveling out roads perfectly like this. It worked out great. So now you see me kind of building this this other thing down here, and it's all part of like the inside of the port here. And that's because I want to do something a little different than what I've seen other people do. I'm doing an upper port area and a lower port area, and the lower port is just going to be like these edges that are just they're right along the very edge of the main ports. So the upper port will be where all the cranes and cargo areas and stuff are, but the lower part is going to be where it's almost level with the ships, where that's where the people and stuff would get on and off the ships at, as well as being able to use the smaller ships such as tugboats and things will be parked on the inside of that on this lower level, and being able to get the normal size ships instead of these giant cargo containers. So I thought it's a good idea. I've never seen anybody do anything like this before, so it's something unique for me. And I didn't want to, I've been doing kind of one of the things that's taken me so long to actually work on this and get this done is because as soon as I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to build a port. That's what I want to do. I want to do a port in an industry area. I immediately set about research. And when I research something in like Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo, or Cities Skylines, when I start researching something, I spend a lot of time researching it. I really get into it. Just look at my geothermal plant. Like, I literally learned exactly how geothermal plants work from doing research for Cities Skylines. It's crazy. Science of all of that stuff, and how it's all designed and how everything fits together, and what kind of pieces of stuff I could use. So my research for this basically consisted of, I checked out a lot of the larger like ports and stuff on different islands. Honolulu, of course, Hawaii, their big port there, Sand Island, I think they call it. I looked at that one. I looked at Florida, and I looked at Nassau over there in the Bahamas, and some other places. Somebody, I can't remember who you were, but one of you said it kind of reminds them, this build with the tropical islands. Kind of reminds me of the Canary Islands. So I looked at that as well. I looked at their ports and stuff and kind of see how they were done. And yeah, so, you know, I figured out how these things work and how they look and stuff. And I also watched a lot of videos from other City Skylines YouTubers, like the greatest ones, like Prez and Imperator. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but you guys probably know him. $2.20 with his Marble Mountain build. Genius. I love Marble Mountain. These are all YouTubers with City Skylines that I admire and I idolize, and I'm nowhere near as good as them, but I am hoping to be. It's maybe sometime in the future to be like as top notch as them. But at the same time as I'm trying to build up to be as good as them, they're getting better with every build. So being able to like match them at any point would be fantastic, but I don't see that happening. I'm still very, very much an amateur when it comes to this game, but I have willpower. And I kind of know where I want to go with stuff, and I love watching this series, and I just want to say a huge thanks to all of you guys. If any of you happen to be watching this, I mean, honestly, I love your work. Keep up the great work. I love your series. Skibbeth, Imperator, $2.20, Fresh Popcorn. He comes and goes. I haven't seen him make a video in a long time. He was coming back, and now he's not. And I don't know what's going on with him, but so I try to strive to be as good as you guys, and I hope that one day I can be. But so if you guys are watching, huge shout out to you. Love your work. And I looked at a lot of how they built ports and stuff for their cities, and I kind of took a lot of their ideas and stuff that they did and tried to bring my own approach to it. In fact, one of the things here that I was doing, once I get to the actual cargo area where the containers and stuff are going to be, it actually is almost kind of very close to Imperator's design for his city that he was working on. I think he just calls it Sunset Harbor. I don't really know what he based it on or anything, but I took a lot of his ideas, and then I tried to bring ideas from like other creators and stuff into it. So yeah, that's just kind of want to get that out of the way, so that if anybody says, oh, you copied them, I mean, imitation is the best form of, you know, flattery. So and I loved their work, and I wanted to kind of get into that. So, but like I was saying, I wanted to do this like lower area here, and that's what I'm kind of doing on now. One of the problems I got with this though was the water level. Like, I don't understand what the deal is over here, but for some odd reason, every single time I load up the game, the water level here, I can't talk again. The water level over here in this particular location, always, it's like I load the game, and it's just like they just took a bucket of water and just dropped it. And I get these huge tidal waves from like all the way around the edges, and it just floods everything. So I ended up having to go in and get like a flood manager mod to keep it from destroying my stuff and wiping away my work every single time the game loads. And I don't understand why it does it. I've looked into it. A couple of people said it's from the 81 tiles mod. A couple of people said it was from either more beautification, or there was another mod that I used, more network tools or something like that. They said it could be due to that one. Most people seem to think it's the 81 tiles mod that does it though. And if you build on around the edges, which this isn't necessarily on the edge where I'm building that, but I guess it could be. I honestly don't know what the deal is, but again, every single time I load up the game, this area floods. It's just like a huge tidal wave. After about 10 to 15 minutes, the water calms down and it's not really a problem anymore, but it definitely is for when I load up. And if any of you guys out there have any idea on how to fix that without getting rid of those mods, I would love to know. I've tried everything from sloping the terrain down by the dock. I've tried to make it not as deep. I've tried to make it deeper. I don't know what to do, but it's really annoying, and I would love to fix that. So now what you see me doing is I'm using, I think these are from Ronix, or maybe not. It might be, might be $2.20 or Prez that created it. I can't remember, but they created these awesome dock pieces here, and I'm using those to, I think the cargo docks themselves, like the walls and the surface, I think that's Ronix, but I believe it was Prez or $2.20 that made the cargo docks themselves. And it's just these, instead of using the in-game ones, which are just like, I don't know, they don't look as realistic. Instead of using theirs, like the in-game ones, I use this other one here that I see a lot of other YouTubers and stuff use, where it's just this, basically it's just flat little platform, and it's got a square in it, and that's where the ships dock at. And I've hid them. I put 2 on this side. I had 1 on the other side that you saw me place, but I get rid of it because I'm going to actually just put a fake container ship on the other side there. The reason I do that is because I think I thought I figured out how the cargo ships are coming in, and on like the left-hand side, they want to turn around. So the ship was coming in, and then it was turning, and as it wouldn't turn until it was all the way inside the port, and it would turn right up against the edge of the port, and like it would clip into the side of the dock, and it was really annoying. So I was like, okay, that's not going to work. So I just got rid of that particular cargo dock right there on that side, and I'm just going to put like a fake cargo ship over there, and then only use like one side of this for actual ships to come in, so it's actually functioning, which is the other thing. So it's somewhat functional, this port, while the other part is more or less just looks. I want it to look really realistic, but I also want it to actually do its job too, where ships are coming in and going out, and the trucks are coming in and picking up stuff, warehouses for this different stuff. I'm really trying to make it just really nice looking though. Functional, but realistic is definitely what I'm going for with this build. And this is something else that I saw when I said earlier that you guys may probably recognize this section of the build right here. Kind of what I'm doing is mimicking a little bit of what Imperator did with his, except he used these much larger cargo cranes down through here. So his container yards were a little larger than mine. Instead, I decided to do like 3 here on each side of these thinner ones. That way it leaves me more space over there, because I'm going to separate this dock once again, building another like port next to this one, so it's all separated. We're going to have 2 for large containers for cargo ships themselves, and then 1 for liquid, such as oil, fuel, things like that are coming in via cargo ships like that. So we'll have, I didn't want to mix and match the fuel and the oil, like coming in with the actual cargo ships over here. So instead, I thought it would be good if it was separated and had its own dock, which is that's why I decided, you know what, let's do another port right here next to this, which you'll see me do here in a minute. But in the end, this was kind of something I was working on here, and like I said, I was watching him and how he built it, and I was trying to keep up, but I was also trying to put my own little touch on it. So these animated cranes here, he didn't use these. I am using these, and I think the animated ones, they really give it more kind of like a working dock kind of feel to it, and I really like them. Messing around with these cargo containers here was kind of a pain too, especially when I started putting all the decals and stuff on it and trying to do all the markings and everything. But you'll notice, I mean, I even put I put the markings down the side for like the work area. I did the rail lines all the way up the side, the stoppers on the end. And I'm even going to mark off the cargo containers and stuff too, but it just became so much little detail work, and it was starting to take so much time and do that. Plus, it was my first time really like doing anything like this too, so it was very, very new, and it's experimental stuff that I was doing here for me, and just trying new things out that I've never done before, and trying to get it right. So trial and error basically. And now that I've already done it, now it's some of the things I've done I can't really go back and change now. So in other words, it would probably use a lot less decals, a lot less work. in the long run if I had just used a couple different methods that I figured out by the time I was almost done. What you'll see me do here is, like I said, I had 3 cargo yards on each side of the middle warehouse here. I wanted to do like a garage kind of middle warehouse thing in the middle, and then the cargo yards on each side. And now I'm basically trying to age it, give the docks a little bit of wear and tear on each, kind of. I didn't want it to look new with just this pure concrete, like, because when you use the surface tool and you put the asphalt or cement down or whatever, it all looks too new. And I wanted to give it a little bit of wear and tear because the docks, they get a lot of traffic. You got cargo containers coming in, you got cargo containers going out, you got trucks coming in constantly, just all day long, bringing in shipments, taking out shipments. And it's not going to be clean. It's going to be extremely dirty. It's going to have a lot of tire wear, a lot of skid marks here and there. And I'm just trying to age it down a little bit. And now you'll see me, I'm actually trying to put the markings and stuff in here for the loading areas. So the trucks will come in and they will back up into these areas right here. And this is where the crane overhead will go and pick up whichever container that truck specifically needs to carry. We'll find the container because everything is listed. Everything's like allotted in a harbor master's book somewhere. They know where every container is. So they use these cranes to sort them, and they can move them around as they choose. And then they pick up the crane or the shipment, and they load it up on the truck, and the truck takes it where it's got to go. So each side here of the crane got these. And this is where one of the things I was kind of like trial and error. Again, it's like, well, I didn't know how long I needed it to be, so now I know. And then I ended up having to put like some extra containers on the end down there to fill space. And I really wish these animated cranes were a little longer than what they are. And looking back at it, what I probably should have done is put 3 of them together in a line. Probably would have been the better option, but I don't feel like that's the way that would work. You wouldn't have one and then one in the middle and then like one on each end and one in the middle. I don't think that would work very well. You really need each yard to kind of have each section to have its own crane. That way it can move it around where it needs to go. I feel that's the smarter way of doing it and the more realistic way of doing it. There are some larger cranes that I could have put on here that are wider, where I could have put more like containers and stuff in, but they're not animated, and I really wanted to use the animated ones. So with 3 on each side, what you'll see me do here in a little bit is, of course, I decide, you know what, I think there's enough room there. I could probably throw in 1 more on each side. So you'll see me do that in a little bit. So while I'm doing this aging and everything here, and putting all these decals and stuff in, I want to talk a little bit about the actual name of the islands now. So I officially have a name for the islands and stuff, which you see in the title of this video. So it is Sierra Belleza or Belleza. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. I'm going to need to use Google Translator to actually pronounce that for me so I learn how to actually say it. But it has 2 meanings. The first part of the name, the Sierra part, I'm naming after my daughter because I love my daughter and she's in college and she's doing fantastic. I mean, probably my greatest achievement. She's so smart, and I'm very proud of her. So I want to, just like I named a hotel in Planet Coaster on my beach boardwalk park I'm building after her, I wanted to name this city after her. These islands. So the first part is named after her, the Sierra part. The second part is Belleza or Belleza. I'm not exactly, again, I'm going to have to look up and see how to pronounce it. But the second part is the Spanish word for beauty. So since it is a tropical paradise, I thought that would be the best name for it. Now, when it comes to this name, a long time ago, back when I first started this, I asked kind of my viewers and stuff what they think a good name for the islands would be. And I was given a few, but nothing really jumped out at me as being perfect. But now that I'm actually going back and working on this, on City Skylines again, and working in this build, I thought if we're going to come back to it and we're going to start working on it a lot, it needs a name. I've already gone 3 episodes. We don't have a name. So officially now, that's its name. I had a couple of other ideas that I was throwing around, but I really like this one, and I think it fits it perfect. It's not Hawaiian, but it is more Spanish, and I'm kind of thinking maybe a little bit more like the Bahamas or something, maybe something like that instead of a Hawaiian type of feel. Maybe we'll do a cross between Bahamas and Hawaii. That's kind of the feeling we're going to go for. It's just got to be a tropical island, and I don't really want to. Let's not put a whole lot of thought into, where it's located in the world or anything like that. Let's just, enjoy it for what it is, basically. And because if I start really thinking about this and I start like really trying to wrap my head around the little details like that, it's gonna drive me crazy because I'm so OCD when it comes to that stuff. So I just have to kind of be like, no, stop it. Just build it. Don't worry about that. That's the kind of stuff. Some things are important. Some things are not. Where this is actually located, not that important. It's a fake island. It doesn't actually exist. I don't have to model it after anything like that. But, but it does open up a lot of doors as far as like where I can look for, like resources and stuff and building ideas and things. Like I said, the Canary Islands, the Bahamas, Hawaii, so many, the Mediterranean, Florida, California. There's so many different kinds of places that I can look at for inspiration to build here. And I don't want to put too much thought into it because then it'd be like, well, yeah, but that doesn't fit this kind of thing. It's just like the houses. I was trying to make all the houses kind of fit like a theme. And it's just like, let's just put some colorful houses down and call it a day, basically. So, going back to the video here, what we're doing, you're now seeing me. I've carved out another port area here, another inlet. Is it called an inlet? Is that what I would call this? I don't know. Anyway, I've carved out another port section here out of what we already had. So the part there, we're going to have the leftmost section is going to be cargo. The middle section is going to be cargo. And then I just carved out another port over there. And that's going to be for oil, gasoline, because I figure they're probably, if cars and stuff are on this island, they're going to have gas stations. They got to get their fuel somewhere. So are we going to produce the fuel here on the island? Or are we going to let it be more of a, they import it, And if they do make it, maybe they export some of it as well. That's a possibility. So things to kind of think about. But either way, we're going to have what I call liquid freight containers coming in. It's going to be crude oil or it's going to be gasoline or something that we're going to be importing in, or both. Most likely it's going to be both. So, and I want to keep that separate from the rest of the docks, from the cargo and stuff, because it's highly flammable, highly explosive, and I think it would be best if we kind of have it in its own separate section, because it doesn't unload with cranes. This is something else that I've actually done a research into it as well, on how like oil tankers and stuff, how they offload their cargo and things, and it's interesting. So there's not a whole lot as far as resources and stuff for that. There's a ton of resources for cargo, like containers and trucks and ships and stuff. There's not a whole lot for an oil tanker per se. Yeah, there's oil tankers themselves. There's giant fuel tanks that I can put, giant fuel containers and stuff that I can use, and pipes and stuff. But as far as like how it unloads and stuff, not a whole lot at a workshop, which is kind of weird. But I was able to find a few things, and we'll probably do that in the next episode. Speaking of which, this entire build is going to be about 3 episodes long. So I'm not going to get finished with this in this episode, and therefore there's not going to be a showcase at the end of it where I'm kind of like live showing it or doing any kind of like showing off the little details and stuff. I'm not going to be doing that in this episode because I don't get finished with this. I did get a lot done. Like I got the general idea of what we're doing here, the layout, and a lot of different, the hardest part I would say is probably done, but I don't know if the hardest part is figuring out the little details as far as the design of like what it's going to look like, what's going to go where. I don't know if that's going to be the hardest part, or the hardest part is going to be just placing all the little detail work. But I kind of want to say that I've got the hardest part of it out of the way now, which is the design. You know, I know an idea of what it's going to look like. I've got the shape done. We've got most of the construction done. Now it's just placement and the fine work and stuff like that, which I don't think will be as hard as what I've dealt with in this anyway. So for these right here, I'm probably going to move this around in maybe the next episode, but I was playing around with the warehouses and stuff, and like loading cargo hubs and stuff like that, and I basically put 2 of these cargo hubs together so that I have loading and unloading docks on each side, because originally it doesn't even have that. So I thought, let's put 2 of these together and put it up there. So I'm probably gonna like make a couple more of those and make it like really long, and then put it up on the edge of the docks, as like right before you get down to where the ships and stuff are. It'll be like up on the part. That will also be offices, and other stuff will probably be up in that general section too. And then episode 3 of this series will actually be the industry section, which will be very close to it. All of this I thought fits really well in this particular area, and that's why I chose this section of the island to do this, because we have an airport that's going to be coming in, which is right across the way from here. So I don't know when I'll be building the airport, but I already know exactly where I'm going to build it, and that would be like where I showed you at the very beginning of the video. And that is going to be, I thought the cargo port and industry and stuff, all of that just fits. They all kind of run together, and I think this would be the perfect area for that, which is why I chose this to be my port area. So I've still got a little bit to go before the end of this video here, and I don't know what else to kind of talk about. The roads here, I'm actually going to change up these roads. I found this, it was Flabaliki that actually made this road that I'm actually using for this. It's almost like an industry road. It's really neat because it has this wear and tear to it that actually sticks up above the surface that I use for the docks, like the dock platforms. It sticks up kind of just enough outside of that where you can actually still see the road, which is I really liked. Doing some looking into that, I figured out that that was a road that he had used, and he actually modified someone else's road. And I didn't want to use a 2-lane road. I wanted it to be a one-way road is what I was hoping for. And I couldn't find anything else that kind of fit where it would kind of stick up outside of that it's not a decal, it's just more of a platform or anything. A surface. It's called a surface in game. And I really liked how the road just kind of sticks up like that. And you see like wear and tear. So I was able to locate the original, which just happens to be a one-lane road, or one-way road. And I was like, yes, that's perfect. So I think you may have saw me kind of changing out some of the road here a little bit ago, so that it's actually, if not, I'll be doing it here in a minute. I can't remember exactly where I do it in the video, but I change out some of the road so there's one way, and some of it stays the original. And I need to kind of figure out how my traffic is going to work around here, which we'll probably do in the next episode. And then this right here, I'm just placing down these empty flatbeds. I don't know specifically what they're called. They're like these shells that the containers kind of go on. Loading beds. Well, I don't know. I'm going to call them a loading bed or just a flatbed. So these flatbeds and stuff. One thing I noticed while looking at satellite images and stuff of all these different ports and stuff is that most of these ports have just a ton of these things, like hundreds just everywhere, all around the port, with like extra cargo containers and a lot of these like flatbeds just sitting around everywhere. And I thought, you know what, I want to do something like that, but I don't really have a lot of room to work with. And I had this little extra area down here on the edge of the where, since my dock itself is kind of strangely shaped with that angle and stuff, it's kind of, I was like, I don't know what to put down here. So I thought, let's put some of those down there. I'm not 100% happy with it, so I may still take those out and maybe put those somewhere else. And I might put some kind of warehouse or something down there small that fits down there. Maybe a couple of fuel containers, because I kind of feel like they're going to need to fill the ships up with fuel before they, leave the dock. So maybe something like that. Maybe I don't know yet. But if you guys have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. We're coming up on the end of the video, so I do have to start saying my farewells. One of the neat little things here I found these little substations here, and by putting them right on the edge of the building, it looks like it's actually part of the building. And since this is going to be a huge warehouse, it fits really well with it, and it supplies electricity. And then I also have the substations up there too, the larger substations, which is going to be feeding electricity in too. They're there for now. I'm probably going to change them around a little bit later, but yeah. With that being said, we are at the end of the video. So guys, I would love to hear all of your suggestions about everything that I've done today. Anything you would like to see in the future of this series, any help you can give me on anything would be great. I want your feedback. So give me feedback, what you think I should do, anything I should change about the docks. For people out there who know how docks and stuff work, if you've got any ideas for me, I'd love to hear them. In the meantime, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you for watching.